They were uh, they were professional fishermen. They'd worked the entire night. Anybody who's a serious fisher person would love the story. You're acquainted with it. They were professional fishermen. They worked all night. It was their living, for pity's sake. And nothing. They caught nothing. So here they are lamenting, and they see this person coming. He doesn't know anything about fishing as a serious fisher person. It's Jesus Christ. And he says to them, send your boat back out, throw your
nets.
Get your nets. Yeah, thank you, Linda. Throw your nets for a haul. And they said, we've worked all night and caught nothing. And then looking at him looking at them, he says for them, nevertheless, because you say so, we're going to do it. You know what happened. They went back into the water, boat and all of that, and it turned out that they got so much fish they were nearly sinking. Isn't that a great story? Of course it is. But the great story is not written just to tell us a nice little story, an interesting story, of course, but a nice little story about Jesus Christ and how powerful he was. Him filling an empty boat with fish was a breeze. He can talk to storms, for pity's sake. And they stop, you know. He speaks to the wind, and the wind. He speaks to men who are 4 times dead and already rotting, and they come to life. He speaks to a tree and tells it to crumble, and it does. To fill a boat with fish, no big deal at all. That's not why the story is told, though it does involve his miraculous ability. What's really in the text is, what led these fellows to say, okay, if you say so. If you say so. Why? What is there about Jesus that enabled people to so trust him that they would do that? The story's written 2,000 years ago, but it's just alive today. And we see it in people. We do when we have a look. Christians see it all the time. They even see it in people who are helped by God, but they're not yet Christians. But they have the sense, yeah, how was he able to do that? Filling a boat with fish is one thing. Filling a heart and a mind and a life with faith that says, okay, if you say so, and they do it. The story is there's something about Jesus, the person of Christ, that is able to produce faith like that in him. And there are people that you know, you may even be among the number, who have a tough, hard life right now. They've been through great losses. They've been lonely and lost some children and things that came apart on them. And they hear his voice through the biblical witness and the example of other people. And they say, we trust you. Okay. Paul uses the same phrase in 2 Corinthians 7, verse 5. He said, even when we came to Macedonia, our flesh had no rest. He doesn't mean the skin and bone. He means them as humans, suffering what it is that humans get. Flesh there means human. He said we were battered and beaten and all of that went on. Outside of us, the external body structure, we were beaten and all of that. There was pain and war everywhere. And inside there were fears. When we read about Paul, we think he's Hercules. He's not Hercules. He's a man that could weep. And he warned the church about people who were not friends of God or friends of the church. He said, I'm telling you with tears, they worship themselves and what they want. But he gets no joy in it at all. He worries about his little churches. He said, you know, in 2 Corinthians, you want to know what he went through? Read 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and 11 in particular, but just read all the way through. He started that church. He started all of those assemblies. And they broke his heart. They didn't believe him. They criticized him. They made him force to tell the work is done for God. And it sounds like he's boasting. He said, you've made me have to boast. You should be doing it for me. They hurt him bad and he felt it, like the Lord Jesus Christ felt things like that. Yeah. But he says too, fighting without, fears within, nevertheless, in spite of all of that, God who comforts the weak and the hurting, comforted us. Comfort is made up of the word that means fortify. It gives a strength. He's not saying and doesn't say that faith in him makes all the hurt vanish. It doesn't. He never said that. Jesus never said it would either. There are people, nevertheless, though they've never seen Jesus, they've never heard him speak, they only know about him from the biblical record and the things that were told about him. And they become enthralled with them. They're doing it every day. And they're going through the troubles, and without the wording, and maybe sometimes even with the wording, they say, yeah, it's painful, and they're weeping a lot. Nevertheless, we trust him, and that's what we're doing. God bless you, if that's you. Yeah, and people like you, and your friends who are like that. This is happening in a sad, bad world. A bad world governed by satanic evil and all the rest of it. In the middle of all of this, there are people defying what is going on. They're getting word about cancer, bone cancer, tongue cancer. They're getting word about people they love more than they love themselves. And still, they say, still, he made promises. He says it's going to be okay. Everything's going to work out all right. And while he doesn't diminish and obliterate or hurt, he promises us in pain, knowing himself what pain was like, it's going to be okay. And if he says it's going to be okay, we believe him. And we say to him in our prayers and in our hymns and the like, all right, if you say so, we believe you. Do your best in the middle of your pain. And it won't be taken away, perhaps. There's some kind of pains and hurts that cannot be removed, and certainly just by quoting scriptures here and there. But do your best to trust him. And we who teach and speak, we need to learn what it is that enables people to trust as these people do. Quoting a few verses here and there without developing them, not enough. Take time in your teaching and your preaching and your preparing to speak and teach. Tell them about him, won't you? And God bless you for that. Thank you for listening in to Linda and myself trying to be useful to you, and with your help, helping us to say the same thing. We've tried all night the places where we were beaten in, the things we tried and got no good result out of it, all of that. We've had those. Nevertheless, if you say so, Lord Jesus, we're hanging in with you. God bless you.